Many's the long winter's night I spend idly browsing through the scrapbook I kept during World War II to help me remember every delightful, worthwhile moment I spent in the service. I can remember so well the induction center at Fort MacArthur, California, where I, and a lot of others like me, spent our first 2 days in the Army. For this occasion, I had chosen to wear my most expensive, beautifully tailored gabardine suit, because my mother had told me,
if when you report, they see that you are accustomed to dressing neatly and take pride in your appearance, they'll give you a uniform that fits.
And so it was that I found out once again that my dear, darling mother almost never knows what she's talking about. Breathes there a man who will ever forget his first journey via good old Army troop train? With its sleek, modern Pullmans, originally put in service just in time to rush reinforcements to Valley Forge. And its highly stimulating poker game that went on 24 hours a day in what we called the Card Room and Recreation Lounge. It was in this intellectual background, never before seen by the eyes of man, that I first saw Archie.
4 queens.
Archie and I had enlisted in a strange, ill-fated outfit that went under the name of Civilian Pilot Training. And although they kept telling us that we were a part of the Air Corps, when the chips were down, we could never find anyone of any rank who would step forward bravely and claim us. Our first stop was Kearns Field, Utah, right outside of Salt Lake City, for 6 weeks of basic training. Basic training. 6 weeks that really separated the old men from the young boys. We did the things that all good little basic trainees do. Learned how to use the bayonet. Qualified on the carbine, the M1 rifle, the Thompson submachine gun, and saw all the latest movies for 15 cents. It was at Kearns Field, also known affectionately as the hellhole of creation, that one of the high spots of my service career occurred. It happened on our 20-mile hike. To teach us in the practical way that we should always have our gas masks with us 24 hours a day, they had formed a special detail of sneaks who would creep up on us anytime, anywhere, and I mean anywhere, and start tossing tear gas grenades around.
Candy bar? An orange?
Then finally, flight training. And we were sent to Prescott, Arizona for our primary course. The idea behind the civilian pilot training program, now you'll have to listen close because to this day we have never gotten across even to our families exactly what it was that Daddy did in the Great War. It all started this way.
Now here's a pool of men that we haven't made use of up to now. They're mostly over age with families, but they've all owned their own planes or had previous flight training.
What's your idea, sir?
Well, first we ask for enlistments, and then they'd have to be taught to fly the Army way.
Naturally, sir.
And after their training, we could commission them as instructors or ferry pilots. That's to release our young men for combat.
Well, there's only one problem, sir. We're desperately short of training planes for our cadets. We couldn't possibly release any for a program like this.
Oh, we can scrounge up some sort of planes from someplace to train them in. Yes.
Well, that's who we were, that untapped pool of overaged, overweight, undesirable, eager patriots. And our training planes were finally scrounged from civilians, crop dusting concerns, bush pilots, and defunct flying schools. Planes that had known the gentle touch of Wilbur and Orville Wright were wired and pasted together again. New rubber bands were put in as engines. But anyway, believe it or not, one day all of Baron von Richthofen's kamikaze flying circus took to the air. Or nearly all, anyway. We were given courses in acrobatic flying, cross-country, and instrument training in Yakima, Washington. Then, after 15 months of training and just 3 weeks before we were to graduate and get our second lieutenant's commissions, the Vigoro hit the Mixmaster.
And this is the situation, gentlemen. Our casualties aren't nearly as high as we anticipated. And we have this large number of men completing their 25 missions overseas and coming home.
Well, that's good news, General.
Of course, but it simply means that we cannot use those 10,000 civilian pilot trainees who are supposed to be commissioned second lieutenants next month.
We need 10,000 more officers in the Air Corps, like we need 10,000 more Messerschmitts in the German Luftwaffe.
Well, so what do we do with them, gentlemen? I know the Navy wouldn't want them, and the infantry has already declined, and not too politely.
It's a sticky wicket, all right, sir. They're all college graduates, and they all enlisted in good faith.
Hey, couldn't we just Section 8 them out of the service, sir?
Oh, I wish there was some way that we could discharge them without embarrassing them to death, or without making them all feel unwanted. Oh, well, undoubtedly we'll think of something. Yes.
So, we were given the news and we were told to be ready to ship out for Buckley Field. That's 14 miles outside of Denver, Colorado, within 48 hours. As what, sir? Ma'am, Beachman asked. Buck privates, said the Lady Lord High Executioner.
Hey, look, fellas! Pike's Peak!
Archie was very clear as to how he felt about Pike's Peak that morning.
May it rend asunder and crumble to dust before your very eyes.
What do you mean you don't want these men in your squadron, Captain? They're in your squadron, or will be any minute now.
Well, exactly what is it they've been doing, sir, that's been called off?
Well, as I understand it from General Wallace, well, actually, I don't understand too much. Particularly that name, civilian pilot training. Why civilian, if they're in the Air Corps? They are in the Air Corps, aren't they, Major?
Oh, no doubt about it, sir. General Wallace was quite emphatic about that. I think his exact words were, "These men are just as much a part of the Air Corps as if..."
As if what, Major?
Well, he didn't say if what, Colonel. But the inference was there.
What inference?
Why, the inference that they actually are a part of the Air Corps. Otherwise, why would they be sending them here?
There you are, Captain. You see, you've been worrying about nothing at all.
Now, let me see. The last time I was in Denver was in 1938. That's right, 1938. I came here to a convention of the Western Fur Growers Association. They all stayed at the Brown Palace Hotel. Now, what was her name? Hey, Bowers, I must have told you about that girl. What did I say her name was?
Well, now, let's see. You told me that you called her Josephine, and she called you, Napoleon.
No. Her name wasn't Josephine. You're right about that, though. She did call me Napoleon. No, her name was, Peggy. Peggy something. Peggy Kramer, that's right. Peggy Kramer. She was working as an instructress in one of those women's bodybuilding places, doing very well, too, her husband told me.
Her husband?
Yeah, they had one of those modern marriages, you know, that you read about.
Attention!
At ease! Men, I'm Captain Little, commanding officer of the 165th Squadron, to which you men have been assigned here at Buckley Field. This is Lieutenant Ogelmeyer and Master Sergeant Stanley Erlenheim, with whom you'll have most of your dealings. Now, men, during your stay here at Buckley Field, you will undoubtedly hear me referred to by the men as Old Iron Pants. Well, Old Iron Pants is a name which I bear with some pride. Not with pride, certainly with a certain amount of justification. But of course, now, as regards morale, well, men, whenever I get to feeling sort of down and get caught up in the war, why, I just stop and remember that my cigarettes are only costing me 7 cents a pack. That sort of... And then, if that's not enough, man, I stop and I reflect on the amazing opportunities for advancement in the Air Corps. Why, man, do you know that I know of some of the weirdest cases of what you and I could only consider to be creeps just suddenly shoot up in rank without anyone able to offer even the slightest explanation. Oh, well, I myself, as short a time as 13 months ago, was the elevator starter at the Grisby building at Las Cruces, New Mexico, while today I'm proud to be the commanding officer of the 165th Squadron. Now, I don't think you're going to be here very long. At least that's what I've been promised. Told. Sorry. Told. Well, I guess that's about it. Would you like to add anything to that, Lieutenant? Sergeant?
All right, men. Stay on the ball. Don't get out of line, or I'll hit you with everything in the book.
Are there any questions?
Ask him about the policy on passes.
What's the policy on passes here, sir?
You've hardly gotten here, Private, and you want to leave us already.
No, now that was a legitimate enough question, Lieutenant.
There'll be a duty roster posted in about an hour. Everyone not on the list can have overnight passes.
Are there any more questions? Well, in that case, I can only assume that you're pretty straight on everything, so, well, you keep them flying, and,
Turn, set!
Take that, Captain. There is a leader I'd gladly follow to hell and back.
And did you get a load of the sergeant? I've seen kinder faces on loan sharks.
Where do men like that spring from every time there's a national emergency? You don't see them in between wars.
How many of those things does he have in there? He's been pulling them out on every occasion for over a year.
You haven't got the picture, Beach. Archie has found a way to make them breed in there.
Where's he going?
Well, now, what am I? The only living authority on Archie Hall?
He winked at you as he went out.
Well, he's crazy about me.
Top of the morning to you, officer.
Get in step, Ben.
Soldier? The duty sergeant in there, what's his name?
His name is Greenbrier. Sergeant Malcolm Greenbrier. Stinker, rat, and saddest first class.
Greenbrier, thank you. We must get together after the war and reminisce about some of these experiences, huh, soldier?
Come in. You're not writing my name on that report, are you?
Well, here we go again. Everywhere you go in the Air Corps, it's the same old story.
What is the same old story?
Why, the way the duty sergeant of the squadron has to do the work of everyone at headquarters. It just never seems to occur to them that there's a limit to how much work one man can do.
What do you want?
Want? I just stopped by to see if there was some way I could be of help to you, Sergeant.
Oh, sure. What's that?
What's what?
And don't tell me that you don't know there's an Army regulation about having that on the post.
Oh, well, don't get the wrong idea, Sergeant. Goodness me, of course I know that regulation. And every other regulation in the book.
Well, then what,
Perfume.
Perfume?
Oh, I just keep them in the carton so it won't evaporate.
Perfume. How much?
A full fifth.
What kind of perfume?
Well, let's us call it a gay evening in Denver, February 1944.
A gay... Yeah. I was pretty sure it would be called something like that. What are you going to do with it?
Well, I thought if you didn't have a girl, Sarge, well, then maybe you knew somebody in the...
No, I got one. Give it here. Now, you realize, of course, that it's against regulations for an enlisted man to offer gifts to an officer or non-com in the hopes of receiving special privileges in return.
Yes. Or for that officer or non-com to accept such gifts.
All right. All right. What do you want?
Well, now you understand, Sergeant, that any small consideration that I might ask for myself, I'm also asking for my friend, Private Bowers, who's much too cynical for a man his age. And I'd just like to prove to him what a beautiful thing true friendship can be. None of this is perfect, Sarge, but I imagine I come closer to it than anyone you've ever met before. Yes, sir, it was right here in the Brown Palace Hotel. And it was on that very stool on which you are now seated that she was sitting the first time I ever saw her. She was wearing a low-cut cocktail dress that looked as though it was spun of gossamer gold. I think that's what first attracted my attention, the way she looked, like a lovely big nugget sitting there day after day in that dress.
Weren't you the least bit touted off when it became apparent that she never changed her clothes?
In the first flush of discovery, those little things aren't really important, buddy.
Oh, they are, according to all the advertising literature I read on the subject.
Were you as shocked as I was about the fuss all those guys put up about us getting passes?
It wasn't that so much as it was that we were the only two in our barracks not on that KP list. Several of them were muttering something about those two no-good duty sergeant bribing gold bricks who better not show their faces around there again.
Well, what makes them think it's such a treat for us to show them our faces? Look, let's be honest. Anytime we quit, it's their loss. Bartender, how long have you worked here at the Brown Palace Hotel?
A little over 10 years.
You wouldn't by any chance remember a girl who used to drink a little bit too much around here named Peggy Kramer?
Peg? Sure. What about her?
Well, you wouldn't by any chance happen to know where she is these days, would you?
Sure. She works in the reservations office of United Airlines.
And just how far is the reservations office of United Airlines from, like, right here?
Oh, I'd say it's about 30 or 40. The reservations office is right out there off the lobby. I don't see how you missed her.
You mean the blonde?
Sure. Say, I thought you said you knew her.
Well, that just barely describes our relationship, buddy, but she used to be a brunette, man.
Well, show me a blonde that didn't, General.
Well, what are we sitting here for?
Bowers, you'll have to forgive me, but the news that she's now a blonde, that just changes all my feeling for her.
Now, you look. I agreed to finance this rat race because you said we'd hunt down this Peggy broad and she'd get a girl for me.
You're gonna have me go against my daily horoscope, which tells me that today blondes are deadly poison for me after 12 o'clock high noon?
Oh, I'll hit you.
Oh.
All right. I'll take the blonde and we'll have her get another girl for you.
There now. And you're the one that had an inferiority complex about not being bright?
Well, don't you think we better go out there and get her sewed up for tonight?
Bowers, you just don't, rush into these things like you're negotiating the mineral rights to something. I just hope that those few ecstatic days that Peggy had with me didn't spoil all other men for her, poor child.
Yeah, well, that's one of the risks that we all have to take when we accept you as a friend, Arch.
Bowers, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. You are a bitter, cynical, disillusioned man.
And you are a flip-top.
I'm a girl-getter. Private Bill Bowers, Miss Cindy Hamilton, and Peggy Kramer. Miss Hamilton is mine. As for Miss Kramer, you should live so long. Now, girls, Bowers and I have taken a solemn oath that we're going to show you a time that will warm your girlish hearts long into the winter years of your lives. Tonight is the night. You have but to ask... keeping in mind, of course, the national emergency and the sacrifices that some of us are making because of it.
Archie, with all the soldiers we've had around here, your problem is hardly a new one. Now, there's a very nice Italian restaurant right across the street, and the prices are in keeping with the national emergency.
Please, you misunderstand me. We're not just itinerant gypsy GIs, you know, depending upon the whim and charity of the taxpayer. My friend Bowers, before the war, was a Hollywood writer.
Really, Bill?
Well, now you embarrass me, ma'am. It's nothing that any other oversensitive boy with a bad complexion couldn't have done.
Well, that's enough talk about Bowers. Now, what say we go and look up some of that cheap but impressive food that someone was telling us about, huh?
Can I get you a cab, sir?
What a delightful idea.
No.
It's raining outside, sir.
We're just going across the street. We'll rough it.
I'll get your coats.
That's all right. We can find them.
Well, that's the B-29. The reason you see so many of them around here is because we have a money.
How did you happen to end up with such a typically Japanese name as Cindy Hamill?
My mother was Japanese, but my father was American. He was in the diplomatic service. As a matter of fact, I was born in the American embassy in Tokyo.
Don't you know what you'll be doing now, Bill?
No, not a glimmer. Except that just before we left Yakima, they told us it would not be flying.
Yakima?
Yeah, Yakima, Washington. We were halfway through an instrument flying course up there before somebody blew the whistle on us.
Isn't Yakima near Hanford, Washington?
Yeah, about 10 miles. What do you know about Hanford?
The government just opened an office here in Denver. They're trying to recruit people to go to work there.
Would you like to pay your check now, sir?
Well, not particularly, but I don't see what I can do about it. Just a minute. Say, waiter, I wonder if I could leave my wrist. Where'd he go?
The check is all taken care of, buddy.
By who?
I think you mean by whom, don't you, Bill?
I mean, who paid the check?
I cannot tell a lie. I did.
With what?
With money. What were you thinking of using? No, please. If you're thinking of thanking anyone, thank this lad here, whose war record to date, I think I can safely say, has been unbelievable.
No kidding.
Unbelievable.
But I know he was broken. This afternoon, while he was taking a shower, I went through his pockets just to make sure.
Now, don't go crazy, Bill. We can handle everything if we just keep our heads.
You're not married. And you never were. And you don't drink too much. And you're a natural blonde. And you and Archie. Well, then how does he have the nerve
He's forgotten. He met 2 girls that time he came to Denver, and unfortunately, the other girl's name was Peggy Crandall. He had 1 date with me and 7 with her, and it's her telephone number he remembers. But down through the years, I keep getting little notes from Archie saying, I hope you don't forget that wonderful time, nudge, nudge, we had at Elitch's Gardens. Things like that.
Is this Peggy Nudge Nudge Crandall still roundabout?
No.
Well, now don't let all this bother you. I never believe anything Archie says anyway, you know.
Really? Now tell me the truth. Didn't you want to date with me tonight because from what Archie told you, you thought I was going to turn out to be the fireball of the Rockies?
Well, you know how it is with us soldiers, honey. We have to grab life as we go by at a full run.
bet I know how it is with you soldiers. Actually, Bill, I think it's going to be real nice to have you around for a while.
Well, now, lady, whether you meant to or not, you just said the right thing.
Come on out. Let's go. Come on, KP. Come on, let's go. Come on, you miserable bum. Out!
Well, 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 the rich playboys are back from town. Tell me, how are things in the girl and seltzer set,
Oh, this boy's as funny as a brain injury.
Names?
Lord Louis Mountbatten.
And Sir Douglas Fairbanks.
Jr.
You guys don't even look like them. Bowers and Hall, huh? Why ain't you guys on this KP list?
Why ain't you never learned not to say ain't?
I'll be looking you two guys up before long.
You are poking a dent in my tunic, Corp.
All right. Detail. Hinge. Hut. Forward. Patch. Lift. Hip. And now.
When the war is over, we will all enlist again. When the war is over, we will all enlist again. When the war is over, we will all enlist again. We will, like hell, we will.
Arch, when you were here in Denver before, did you ever run into a girl by the name of Peggy Crandall?
Crandall? Crandall? No. I know a girl named Peggy Kramer.
I know you know a Peggy Kramer.
Hey, wait a minute. I did meet another girl named Peggy when I was up there before, a little blonde. I think her name was Peggy Crandall.
Yeah, well, are you sure it wasn't Peggy Kramer? She's a blonde.
Now she is. I'll tell you something else. I hardly recognize that girl. She should have left herself alone.
Say, Arch.
Yeah?
Don't you think we both ought to take it a little easy about the things we say?
Like what?
Well, like tonight, for instance. Well, all that talk about what's going on up at Hanford. I was worse than you were, I'll admit, but all they need is a piece here and a piece there, and somebody puts it all together.
You mean somebody like Cindy?
No, not particularly.
I'll bet that poor kid gets that 24 hours a day.
Well, I'll bet she does, too, if she acts the way she did tonight. I mentioned Yakima, and neon lights go on all over her. She never did let up pumping me about it the rest of the evening. And what about that $50?
Did you ever hear of anybody buying dinner for a soldier?
Sure, but not giving him $50 to pay for it with and then saying keep the change.
Oh, come on. Do you think the Japanese would have a spy that goes around acting so much like a spy?
Ah, but you admit she acts like a spy.
Let's go to sleep, huh? We don't want to go to the girls tomorrow night with big dark circles under our eyes, now do we? Bowers.
Yeah?
Now, don't go dreaming up a lot of hokey melodrama about an Oriental spy under every Oriental rug. Because if you do, buddy, you could ruin the sweetest setup we've ever had. Do you attend me, Bowers?
I attend you, Benedict Arnold.
Lieutenant. Nice to see you again.
Good morning. Nice to see you. Again?
Fresh mountain trout.
What do you want me to do? Teach them to swim?
No, just bone them and brown them, so to speak. Little lemon butter on the side.
You know, I didn't tell you about something else that happened last night. I don't remember how it came up, but Cindy offered to lend me some money, too. $50 to be exact. And it was in one of those big, oversized bills that went out of circulation about 15 years ago.
Oh, well. As long as the interest rate's all right.
You don't think I took it?
You mean you didn't?
Of course not.
Well, why not?
You know why.
Powers, let's assume that you're right about Cindy. Don't you realize that one of the most damaging things that you can do to an espionage ring is to deplete its money reserve?
No.
Now, you think about that for a minute. You'll see it makes sense. The more we damage their dollar position, the closer we are to victory. Lieutenant, would you care to play through?
No, that's all right. But I was just trying to remember where it was that we met, Private...
Private Hall, sir.
Fowler's the name, LQ.
How do you do? Well, have you spent much time around the Chicago stockyards?
Chicago Stockyard? No, I don't think. I mean, of course not. I've never even been to Chicago.
Well, then, by any chance, did you attend our convention of the Western Fur Growers Association here in Denver in 1938?
Western Fur Growers? And no, but I went to the West Coast for my insurance company in 1939.
Did you, Lieutenant? Well, then possibly you may have met my friend, Private Bowers. Private Bowers was a Hollywood writer before the war.
Well, happy to know you, Private Bowers.
Yes,
I've
sir.
always been interested in writing in amateur theatricals myself.
Is that so?
Yes.
Oh, nice to know you, Lieutenant.
Would you like to sit with us, Lieutenant?
Why, yes, I would, thank you. You there. Those cans go out the side door.
Sorry, sir. I guess it's almost impossible to get really good help these days, huh, Lieutenant? 3 coffees, please, Bowers, and a tab.
Are you stupid or something? I told you to take it out the back door.
But some lieutenant said that... You want it to go out the back door, Sarge? It goes out the back door.
You bet it does, meathead.
Relax. I just happened to be going by, Lieutenant. I thought we might go over those plans for the new bowling alley.
Well, yes, sir. I have them right in
No,
my...
sit down and have your coffee. Matter of fact, I wouldn't mind a little coffee break myself about now. Been at it since 6 o'clock this morning. But of course, by 6 o'clock, you men have been up and at it for some time, hadn't you?
Well, it's little enough to be able to do, sir, when your country is, well, you know what I mean.
I'll get you some coffee, sir.
Thanks.
Won't you sit down, Colonel?
Thank you.
Speak French, do you, sir?
Oh, parlez-vous?
Wait till he tells you the other part of it, though. We'll get to the telephone pole.
Hey, fresh mountain trout. You're right on the beam, Archie. Yeah.
Great.
Down to a turn, Hall.
How close is it, Bob? I don't know. You know, I tell you about 20 miles. That's so.
I never seen nothing like it. Who is them 2 creeps?
Them is the 2 I was telling you about, Stanley. Hall and Bowers. You remember I told you I didn't think this guy Hall was no ordinary dog face? Huh? And look.
Yeah, you done good, Greenbrier. And I think we better keep right on playing it by ear with them 2 until we find out what's what.
Treat them cozy, you mean, huh?
Cozy, with plenty of that good old hot towel treatment.
What kind of duty?
What duty? No duty!
Why,
Why, them two guys have got the colonel right in their hip pockets. And the day'll come along when it won't hurt us none that we laid their duty off on some other drugs instead of them.
I got you, Sarge.
It's great to have a man of your caliber in my squad, Archie. Amen to that.
Well, are we going to be the jerks they lay it on, or are we going to...
Come here, Beach. What's the matter? Listen, chum, for a year and a half, we have been as stupid as three thinking animals could be.
Bowers is the only guy in the whole outfit that's shown any sense. What are you talking about?
And we're not going to let you tout us into any more reprisals.
Look, we don't want to be out here on KP feeling bitter all the time. We want to be right over there eating breakfast with majors and colonels and people like that.
We want to be praised for our wit by our commanding officer.
We don't want to fight Archie. We want to join him.
Like Bowers did.
You mean you're going to let him get away with
yes.
this?
And so are you.
Now look, and so are you. Well, that's the way you chaps want it. It's all right, I guess.
Sir, this is a delightful surprise. Oh, he's a jolly good fellow. He's a jolly good fellow. He's a jolly good fellow. Which nobody can deny. Which nobody can deny. Which nobody can deny. For he's a jolly good fellow. Which nobody can deny. For he's a jolly good...
Sorry. Let's take the last eight from the top again, fellas, shall we?
Roger, Ziggy.
We'll go, Zig.
For he's a jolly good fellow. For he's a jolly good fellow. For he's a jolly good fellow. Which nobody can deny. Hey!
Say, do you boys happen to know that tune, when the blackbirds fly to Alabama, will the bluebirds all be blue? Well, of course, it isn't exactly what you might call a pop tune, but I've always thought it could be if we just get behind it.
One of us has to go to the public library tomorrow and dig up that song.
Well, let's not get sickening about the whole thing.
Bowers gets sickening, and look what kind of a life Bowers lives.
Exactly. And you might just take another look at what you've got for a date tonight. Now think of the camels we've been running around with prior to tonight.
And remember the sheet metal worker you wanted to marry because one night she wore a dress instead of coveralls?
What time does the public library open in the morning?
Yes, sir. If I weren't caught up in this war, I'd be prospecting for tungsten on the upper Zambezi.
We know Bill wrote for the movies, Arch. But you never told us what you did before the war.
What I did?
Well, sure. What do you do for a living in civilian life?
Why?
Well, now, there's nothing sinister about the question, Arch. People ask me all the time what I did, and I tell them.
Oh, of course. You just don't seem to care that everyone knows every little detail about every part of your private life.
Well, now, maybe that's because I got nothing to hide.
You implying that I do?
Of course not, Arch. So just tell us what you do for a living.
Well, I don't do any one thing in particular. I was involved in all sorts of projects, profit-making projects. To name one, roller coasters, for instance.
Roller coasters?
Well, I just offered that as an illustration. Hey, you see what you've done? Why can't people learn to leave well enough alone?
Well, I guess we better get these out to the others. And no, don't get up. I know how much seeing that double bill twice this afternoon must have taken out of you.
It's pretty fresh, that kid.
Yeah. Never mind about her. Did you tell the other boys to be careful what they say tonight?
You mean about how many cigarette butts they picked up today?
Now, look. We know a lot of things we don't even know we know.
Not me. Everything I know, I know, and I don't know a thing, and neither do you. Bowers, why don't you turn in your junior G-man badge at the nearest breakfast food counter and have a little fun, huh? And Bowers, instead of doing something silly, for once be honest with yourself. Realize that all those years in Hollywood have made you soft and luxury-loving. To a man like myself, all this and those two divine creatures in the other room mean nothing, but you do mean something. So for your own sake, I beg you, please, don't act hastily.
Tell me, how can Cindy afford an apartment like this?
Maybe your father left her some money. Anyway, she has an awfully good job.
Cindy works for a living? If I was back at my old job as a Hollywood writer, a beautiful girl like that would never be toiling in the fields.
Well, that she doesn't exactly do. She's a court interpreter in some of those cases where the Japanese are suing the government to get their land back.
Oh? Where'd you happen to meet her?
At an officers' club dance. About 6 months ago, right after she got here.
Officers' club dance?
Never mind that. What's with all these questions about Cindy?
I don't know. Something about that girl interests me.
Do you want me to try and guess what it is?
No. Those exotic types always make me feel self-conscious. You know, like my sleeve is in the mashed potatoes when I'm trying to impress somebody. No, sir. You give me a nice, plain, not too intelligent blonde girl, and I'll show you what happiness is every time.
Thanks.
You still there?
You bet I am, and only inches from your throat.
Well, then how come you're not smothering me with kisses? Oh, knock it, honey. You're giving me a headache. Yeah. Officers' club dance.
Okay, I'm ready again if you are.
Bill, can't you make a single move without Archie?
Of course I can. What kind of a question is that?
He dominates all of you.
Archie?
Have you forgotten all that, for he's a jolly good fellow?
Oh, well, now, those guys. They'd sing the German national anthem if there was a stormtrooper buying beer anywhere around. No. I just got a big, fat hunch. Nobody's gonna dominate me from now on but you.
I don't want to dominate you. I don't want anyone to.
Oh. I just thought maybe you were a little upset because you felt the job was already taken.
When?
Tomorrow night.
What if you can't get a
You
pass?
come out here, we'll go see a movie.
You know, Cindy, you're almost too sweet and too lovely for a man to trifle with.
Well, does that mean you are, or you are not going to trifle with me?
Well, trifle is an unfortunate choice of words. The point I'm trying to make is, well, the handicap I'm under in my relation with girls.
Handicap? What handicap?
Well, my natural honesty, my basic decency, and my overdeveloped sense of what's right and what's wrong.
I can see where those things would be a handicap. I mean, if you can't lie to a girl, even just a little.
Yeah. Sometimes I wish I were like Bowers and the rest. Absolutely no conscience in their dealings with women.
I thought Bill was your best friend.
Oh, well, I suppose I'm as good a friend as it's possible for any of those Hollywood people to have, but What were we talking about?
Will I see you tomorrow?
Well, I don't know. Of course, like any other soldier, I have my duties to perform.
Do I pick you up here or in town?
Here, if you don't mind, honey. That bus ride into town is strictly for the rookies.
Malcolm, I think we're right in the middle of something. And if I'm right, one false move on our part could mean we'd wind up without enough stripes between the two of us to outfit one skunk. Plus, a fast, deadly trip to the islands of the South Pacific.
What, Stanley? What?
Let's get to where we can talk.
Hi, sweetie.
Goodbye, Rover. Bye, Mommy.
Good group.
Huh?
One or two lumps, Stanley?
4.
4? Huh. Ain't you afraid of getting cavities in your teeth?
I ain't afraid of nothing.
Now, if you don't mind, Stanley, I'm busting out all over from curiosity.
Well, do you know whom the girl is that was driving the car they was all in? She's Colonel Martin's girl.
No.
And I'll tell you something else. That was Colonel Martin's car she was chauffeuring them around in.
But what's so bad about that, Stanley? We go to the Colonel in the morning, blow the whistle on them jerks, and we end up as two of the Colonel's favorite buddy boys.
And what would happen if all this was done with the Colonel's full knowledge and permission? What kind of thanks do you think we'd get then for butting into his private business uninvited?
Well, what's your theory, Stanley?
Well, it ain't been over 2 weeks ago since I read this article in some magazine while I was waiting to have a haircut.
What was this article on?
G2.
Intelligence?
And this article tells how these guys in G2, on a case, no matter what is their actual rank, can go around posing as anything they want so long as it suits their purposes.
Yeah?
A private in G2 can put on a general's uniform, or a general in G2 can put on a private's uniform, or anything in between.
Gives you the creeps, don't it? Which do you think it is in this case?
Well, if a man is a private and he has the chance to be anything he wants, would you suppose he would go right on pretending to be a private?
No siree, boy. Because any ordinary dogface knows what they can expect out of life as an ordinary dogface. Nothing. Stanley? Stanley, for the first time, I think I see what you mean. If they ain't privates masquerading as privates, then they gotta be something else masquerading as privates.
Would our colonel be so free with his car and women unless he's ranked and feels that he ain't got no choice except to grin and shut up?
Private Archie Hall is a general in G2.
Well, I only had some kind of an approach, you know, to sort of throw him off balance. Like when Greenbrier starts screaming about how we've had passes every night for 2 weeks, if I could just sort of stare at him coldly and say, Greenbrier, what's this vicious rumor I've been hearing around Buckley that your books don't balance?
Hey, that's pretty good.
Nah, he's making mad, since his books probably don't balance anyway.
Clipboard.
Carry on with your work.
Thank you, sir. Now, Bowers, about your Class A tunic.
Well, all in all, pretty serviceable. On mine, the seam under the left arm was stitched pretty sloppily.
Left underarm seam, sloppy stitching. Well, here goes nothing.
Remember, it's the girls you'll be disappointing if you fail.
Thanks, buddy. I needed that.
Come in. Well, there now, Hall. Come in. Where have you been keeping yourself? Here. Sit down.
What for?
What?
Well, why should I sit down? What's happened?
Happened? Nothing has happened. Yet. Hall? I mean, Private Hall?
Look, Sergeant, maybe I better come back and catch you sometime when you're not quite so
No,
busy.
don't you even want to wait for your passes?
Passes? Well, yes, if they're ready. I've got a lot of appointments this afternoon.
Well, of course they're ready. Me and Sergeant Erlenheim has been all morning bulldozing them through, so we'd have them ready for you. Permanent Class A passes for you and Bowers and all the other members of your staff. I mean, all your other buddies. You see, these kind of passes get you on or off the post any time of the day or night. We didn't see no need for you to have to come running into us anytime you wanted to go nowhere.
Yeah, well, it has been something of a nuisance, yeah.
We ought to have a Jeep for you by this time tomorrow.
Jeep? Well, what's been holding that up, Greenbrier?
Oh, well, it ain't as though you can go through regular channels. We was pretty sure that you didn't want to give yourself away at this time.
Or ever, if I can help it, Greenbrier. The passes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and, if for any reason you gotta stay away for a couple or 3 days at a stretch, don't worry about it. Me and Sergeant Erlenheim will cover for you so that nobody will get suspicious.
Yes, there's always the danger that somebody might get suspicious.
Yeah, we'll take care of all them little things for you.
Still, I can't help remembering how long it's taken about that Jeep, Sergeant.
Yeah, well, you'll get it.
No luck, huh?
Oh, this goes way, way beyond luck, buddy. I think we may have finally reached the point where we're operating in the realm of the supernatural.
Hey, man, what you think you're doing? You know that's reserved for officers.
Who says so, man?
Well, you don't think they roped it off for you deadbeats?
They didn't rope it off for anybody. I roped it off for a few of my friends and myself. Simpson, hop down to the other end of the aisle and get my other rope, will you, please?
Well, sure thing, Archie.
Shh. When did you put those ropes up?
The other night when we came here to the movies.
Seats! Men, I don't have to tell you what this is all about today. General Wallace has flown in from Washington, specifically on your account. Now, men, I'm going to be frank with you. The only reason I'm stuck with this job of telling you what you're about to hear is because everybody else seemed to be ducking. And for the first time in my service career, I was the last one out the door. Well, I'm glad to see that you men have a sense of humor. I'm afraid you're going to need it before we're through today. You may as well get the worst now, and then it'll be uphill from there on. Your flying days as pilots are over. As a flyer myself, I realize what these words must mean to you. Particularly since you've worked so hard and have done so well. But, as the man says, you're in the Air Corps now, and that is something entirely different again. And now General Wallace will give you the bad news in detail. General?
Well, boys, what it boils down to is that we ain't been offered a whole lot of anything. It sounds very yummy.
He ain't just whistling the overture from Carmen, gents. No matter how you read this, forwards, backwards, standing on your head, we can either be glider pilots or gunners. Period.
And the only choice we get is what kind of gunners do we want to be? Get a load of this diversified list. There are armorer gunners, career gunners, radio gunners, engineer gunners.
Hey, have you heard about the B-17 pilot who taxis up to the flight line, sticks his head out and yells,
3,000 gallons of gasoline and 2 gunners, please.
What have you decided, Arch?
Glider pilot.
You? Do you realize that you have to go through 12 weeks of commando training before you even see a glider?
And maybe you haven't given any thought to what a sitting duck you are on one of those things.
Oh, now, after all, what is a sitting duck except a duck that just happens to be sitting?
What is a dead duck except a duck that happens to be dead?
what are you going to do, Bowers?
Glider pilot.
I'd sure hate to send a young kid like me up in an old propellerless crate like that.
Why buy gasoline when air currents will do the job cheaper and better?
Wait a minute. You two guys haven't been alone a second since we got back from the theater. So when did you make up your mind?
Yesterday.
How? We didn't know what choices we had until today!
Well, now, that's not exactly true, buddy. You see, Cindy knows Colonel Martin. Or she did until recently. And the colonel, being a good loser and a fine gentleman, still allows Cindy the use of his car at any time. So yesterday, when she came out to pick it up so that we could go out tonight, well, anyway, she was in his office when this guy came in with a bundle of mimeographed stuff, and when she saw what it was, she,
stole one.
2. Well, naturally, I was shocked, and I told Cindy how shocked I was, and...
All right, that answers my question. Let's not go into a 2-hour version of The Man Without a Country.
I was thinking more along the lines of The Midnight Ride of Paul Revere.
What's your angle on this glider deal, Arch?
Angle?
Yes, angle. Now, my definition of that word would be a shabby second-rate scheme for personal gain, formulated through the use of inside information, which was obtained by shameful, disgraceful, and illegal means. And don't try that clipboard crud on me, Buster.
Bowers.
Yes, Arch.
Do you remember those fellows who came to us a while back, hangdog and repentant? And these prodigal sons wanted nothing so much as to be taken back into the fold and sing about what jolly good fellows we were?
Yes, indeed. And I remember thinking at the time, here are 3 of the mealiest-mouthed hypocrites.
I know. I was the one who insisted on taking them back as if nothing had happened. And what was the first thing we did to help them on the road back, Bowers?
Well, we let them hang around a lot with us, which, if nothing more, is therapeutic.
Right.
Oh, brother, I can't listen to any...
Shut up, Drexel!
Ostro,
Shut up! You heard what he said!
Go on, Bowers.
And, knowing the ugly duckling type of women that they have usually dated, and even on some occasion thought of marrying, we took it upon ourselves.
All right. Where do we go to surrender, sir? I never saw the skunk before in my life. Would you like me to rat on him? Would you like me to really tell you some of the things he said about you?
We know all about that, but thanks anyway, Ostro.
All right, string me up on my thumbs.
Well, now, at least you're beginning to show the right attitude. The wild aborigines have been soundly trounced, sir. Taught a bitter lesson and driven back into the bush.
And I think I can say with complete confidence that this means peace in our time.
Let's go get a beer.
Oh, thanks. I'd like to, Beach.
Me too. I don't get many invitations these days.
Well, we're sure it's gliders that we want. Let's go down and sign up.
Hold it. You know, those fellows have given me pause to think.
You mean we've changed our minds?
Well, it deserves a little more consideration than we've given it so far.
Of course he said that. Your approach was insulting. Archie hates to have anyone know what he's doing or why he's doing it.
Beach is right. The minute you said point blank, what's your angle on this glider deal? I could see it in his eyes. He felt pinned down. I was surprised he didn't take our passes away from us.
And Drexel, if he had, I would have killed you.
Well, that's a nice thing to say.
I can't help it. For the first time in my life, I've fallen in love.
You have?
Didn't you think I was capable of it, Drexel? Or maybe you didn't think you'd live to see the day when a girl would return my sentiments in a small way.
Well, that's true, of course.
Will you two shut up? The matter under discussion is whether or not we follow Archie and Bowers and sign up for glider pilots.
Have you seen the newsreel shots of those English glider invasions? The whole idea seems to be to try and crash through as many fences as you can before you burst into flames.
And on the other hand, do you think that we can afford to ignore our experiences with Archie the last year and a half? Archie never makes a move that he hasn't reconnoitered every possibility.
Not only does he seem to have access to what the chief of staff is thinking, but now a direct wire to the Japanese high command.
Look, I thought we weren't going to mention that anymore. Forget it, so maybe she is a spy.
How can you not mention a gorgeous broad shoving money in your pocket all the time?
Yeah, usually this big, old-fashioned, out-of-circulation money that you don't dare spend.
You mean you haven't been spending it?
Of course not.
Why not?
Well, it wouldn't be right, that's why.
Why?
Why what?
Shut up, will you?
Knock it off, soldier.
If that bum will take one step forward, I'll send him back with gaps where his teeth used to be.
Will you shut up? That guy's at least 7 feet tall.
You were saying?
Never mind what he was saying. Do we sign up for gliders or don't we?
What choice have we got, actually?
Why fly in the face of destiny?
Then it's still the Three Musketeers?
Well, let's don't get sickening about the whole thing.
Hi there, soldier. How are you today?
And that brings the bill to 175. 175.
You know, I don't know why I should, but I keep thinking that one of these days you'll forget and accidentally buy a round. Something wrong?
Well, I haven't seen old big bills like this in 15 years, and the way you guys are coming up with them, it's like World War I.
The coin of the realm, Charlie.
Yeah, well, I'm not kicking because I'm getting $3 a piece as collector's items. Are they paying you in this funny money?
You owe me 25 cents, Chuck.
Bowers, I don't know if you ever noticed how fantastically attractive I am to women.
No, I haven't, Arch.
Well, it's either something you have or you haven't. I have it, you haven't.
Nice of you to say so, old man.
But it's a frightening power to have. I mean, really a frightening power.
I can imagine.
Now, for instance, you see those two girls over there?
Yeah.
Well, if I could just catch their eyes for a couple of seconds and hold them, those two girls would start to bleed internally. Now, that's a frightening power to have, Bowers. I only hope I always use it well.
Mm-hmm. Now, I suppose you think that I think you're kidding.
Why should I think that? Like I told you, there are the haves and the have-nots. I'm a have, you a have-not. You're just bitter about it.
Mm-hmm. What's all this leading up to?
Cindy.
What about her?
I think she's a spy, Bowers. No, I know you think that's a pretty drastic accusation to make on the spur of the moment.
On the spur of the moment? Everybody else has known it for weeks.
I simply brought that up because, well, love has been known to accomplish many things, and I thought that possibly I might use this attraction of mine constructively for once, to sort of lead Cindy from the path she's chosen to follow. Because you can say what you want, Bowers. There will be talk about an American soldier running around with a Japanese spy.
Oh, the gossips will be in their glory that day. Now, I know that this is such an offbeat suggestion that it hardly deserves any consideration, but, had you, thought of turning her in?
Buddy.
Whoops, sorry I brought it up.
Oh, don't even say things like that, man. You know, the more I think about it, the more I'm beginning to think that you went off half-cocked on this whole thing from the very beginning.
Me?
You've been against that girl from the moment you met her. Now, I'm sure there's some unhealthy explanation for this hostility that you feel toward her, Bowers, but I think the bad part about it is the way I let you dominate me.
I dominate you.
Oh, come on. Everybody says so. Cindy was complaining bitterly about it the other night.
Yeah, well, Peggy told me she thinks I can't make a single move without you.
Are you serious? How could I possibly dominate you when you have more money than
That's
I have?
just it. You dominate me into spending it all on you.
I do?
Yeah.
Let's check that. Hey, Chuck, hit us again, will you? My golly, you may be right at that. Yes, sir, you may have something there at that.
What makes you so sure that General Hall is going to close in on us firing tonight, Stanley?
I never said that. I said he's gonna close in on him one of these nights. And when he does, we're gonna be right here and rush in and help him out when he gets into trouble at the last minute.
What's up?
Well, they just posted the list of names of those who've been accepted for gliders.
Well, it's about time.
All three of you made it.
No kidding!
How about you? Me? You wouldn't catch me up in one of those horseless contrivances.
What did you sign up for?
Nothing.
You figure to sit this one out, do you?
Oh, it's not that. It's just that, well, ever since I met Lola, and we get along so great and everything, well, I asked Archie, and he fixed it so I can stay on right here at Buckley as permanent party with him and Bowers.
With him and Bowers?
What do you mean with him and Bowers? They signed up for gliders.
They did? Now, I wonder why they do a thing like that. Archie was all set as assistant manager of their post bowling alley, and Bowers had aced himself into a spot in public relations. Oh, well, even if they did sign up, they didn't make it.
What do you mean?
Well, their names aren't on the list.
You're lying? Why?
Now, what's Lola gonna say when I pick her up all wrinkled in the front like this?
They wouldn't dare. This is the dirtiest, most foul, low-down double-cross that's ever been pulled on us by anyone, anywhere!
Now, let me get this straight. You boys volunteered to become glider pilots, and you just found out that you've been accepted. Is that about the gist of it?
No! The gist is how we were conned into volunteering in the first place.
Oh, you mean your natural patriotic instinct when you found out how desperately they need glider pilots because of the unbelievably high casualty rates lately.
What unbelievably high casualty rates?
Well, I suppose it's all right to talk about it now, but you boys can't tell me you haven't heard something about those shocking casualty figures, and they didn't influence you in deciding to volunteer to throw yourself into the slaughter, so to speak.
What shocking casualty figures are you talking about?
What slaughter?
Look, boys, I'll be the first to admit that you three have more guts than I have. I was even thinking of signing up for gliders myself, but, when I heard those rumors, and then the rumors turned out to be fact, it made my blood run cold, I can tell you.
And the rumors have been substantiated, have they?
Oh, there's not a shred of doubt about that now. As a matter of fact, some correspondent referred to the glider boys as the Purple Heart Commandos of the Wild Blue Yonder. And then later on in the story, he called them the most posthumously decorated outfit of the entire war. I believe the enemy has landed some troops.
Did you really hear any stuff like that?
How could I? Our gliders haven't even gotten into combat yet. The boys seemed a bit down in the mouth. I thought they could use a little cheering up, that's all. Well, it was the very least I could do.
There's only one thing, Sarge. We don't know for sure if they're in there tonight. We was a little later than usual in getting here, remember?
How many nights on end have we been standing out here, Greenbrier? And how many of them nights have they failed to show up? None. That's how many. I think we'll move in and work from a little closer tonight. You'll notice the shade is drawn as usual.
My glass is empty, Bowers.
Well, you got paid today, the same as I did, didn't you? And you get more money from Cindy than anyone, don't
That may be, but you see, all of us aren't fortunate in having mothers who can support themselves.
Oh, your mother died when you were 18 months old. I saw it in one of those forms you filled out.
You think that's the sort of thing you should gloat over, that I had to grow up without a mother?
Another round here?
No, waiter. I'm sorry I brought it up. You see, we're not the same gay share and share alike little group we were when we first came in here, because...
Oh, all right. Another round.
Why didn't you call Cindy, Arch? You weren't too nice to her this afternoon.
Well, that's funny. I didn't think she was being very nice to me.
Oh, come on now. She's been out with you every night for weeks, and then just because she has something she has to do one night.
What did she have to do tonight?
She's meeting with some other Japanese spies to complete their plans for blowing up the Grand Canyon, Bill.
You're, not too far off at that, honey.
Now, don't tell me you've been infected with this insanity, too.
Well, I fought off believing it as long as I could, but, I overheard Cindy say something on the telephone this afternoon before you two got there.
What did you overhear?
All I needed to remove any doubts, I'm afraid.
What?
Well, she made arrangements with some man. to meet him tonight at her apartment and turn over, and these are her exact words, Peg, to meet him and turn over a list of the key personnel that they have working at the B-29 Modification Center.
You heard her say that?
Well, I must say, she's the lousiest spy I ever heard of. Letting somebody hear her say a thing like that.
How dare you, Bowers? She's a great spy. She got the list, didn't she?
But what I don't understand, Stanley, is where is General Hall at this crucial point?
They got him tied up in there.
Well, I guess our next move is for me to go call the cops, right, Sarge?
Call the cops? Do you think we've been freezing ourselves to the marrow all these nights so the cops can walk in now and grab all the credit? You bet we ain't. Come on. Now, you and me, ourselves, are gonna bust in there, catch them red-handed, and make the capture.
What? I suppose they got guns or knives. And they always do have, you know, Stanley.
Greenbrier, I'm giving you a direct order to help me capture them spies, or I'm gonna file charges against you of desertion in the face of the enemy.
Oh, all right, Stanley. Boy, the way you carry on sometimes, you'd think we was in Germany or something.
When we get back, take a running start and bust that door down with our shoulders.
Couldn't we just knock and... No. Of course not. We gotta bust the door down with our shoulders.
Follow me.
Charge!
What the hell do you think you're doing here? So you're in this too, are you, Greenbrier?
Colonel Martin, you a Japanese spy? Stanley, wait for me! What is a phantom molester, Stanley?
Where's the charges with that?
Oh, it don't. But one of the guards was telling me that the Denver papers are full of stories about us. They think they finally captured them two phantom molesters that has been breaking into women's apartments for the last 6 months. What do they do to phantom molesters, Stanley?
Well, they just don't send them to officers' candidate school.
Well, sir, the question is this. By what deed or implication could a private convince his master sergeant that he, the private, is actually a general in disguise?
Nevertheless, they quite obviously do believe you're a general in G2.
Why? Well, sir, has anyone suggested the possibility of temporary insanity?
Yours or Erlenheim and Greenbrier's?
What do you know about all this, Bowers? Well, sir, may I ask, did they think I was a general, too?
No, they thought you were the general. I mean, they thought you were Private Hall's chief of staff.
Yes, sir, that's all very flattering, but
I didn't say I thought that, Bowers. I said Sergeants Erlenheim and Greenbrier did.
Yes, sir. Really wouldn't make very much sense for you to think that, would it, sir?
Well, I don't, so don't worry about it.
Wouldn't make very much sense for Erlenheim and Greenbrier to think that either, would it, sir?
Now, to carry it one step further, did you think it made much sense when, out of the blue, you were relieved of all duty, given Class A passes, and assigned a Jeep for your own personal use?
Well, sir, you see, all our training in the Army has been not to question the decisions of our officers and non-coms, and
I was just remembering the times when I had a hard time getting a Jeep for myself. I'm surprised I didn't think to borrow yours, particularly since you always had my car, and you wouldn't miss the Jeep a bit.
Now, that wasn't their fault, Uncle Frank.
Well, actually, I'm not Cindy's uncle. I was an old friend of her father's. When I was military attaché at our embassy in Tokyo, and he was... I don't see how this concerns you, men. And did you really think she was a Japanese spy? And if you did, why didn't you report her? All in all, you men are responsible for some of the most peculiar behavior I have ever encountered from an American soldier.
Now, that's not fair, Uncle Frank. Even if they did think that about me, why shouldn't they have thought it? That's what you wanted everyone to think, wasn't it?
Actually, if you remember, I was against the whole thing from the beginning. And as your legal guardian, I just couldn't see you as a teenage Matahari in counter-espionage.
I'm way beyond teenage. And you said yourself what a great help it was that I was running around with a bunch of GIs, which made it look as if I really was spying for the other side.
Well, that's true. I did say that. But I did not tell you to take every cent of money the Japanese gave you and turn it over to these men.
Well, why shouldn't they have money? You don't pay them enough even to get a loan on.
I don't pay them anything.
You certainly don't. Anyway, you don't know how much help they were to me all during this thing.
Help? All they did was hang around your apartment so much that they almost scared the Japanese off. Name me one thing they did to help you.
I already have. In that report to General Wallace, you said I had to make out. And a lot more than just one thing, too. In fact, after I called General Wallace on the phone in Washington, I asked him if I could... I recommended Archie for a decoration.
What in hell for?
It's all in the report.
In a nutshell, men, the reason for this assembly is to tell you that you will all receive your discharges from the Army Air Corps, and that you should be back at your old civilian jobs within 2 weeks. I'll wait a minute and let that sink in.
Would you mind repeating that, sir?
Not at all, soldier. What I said was that you will all be given your discharges from the Army Air Corps as rapidly as your separation can be effected. Now, when I said that you would all be discharged, that was substantially correct. But I'd like to amend that a little before we go on. You will all be discharged, with the exception of a small number of you who signed up for glider pilot training.
I'll kill him. I'll kill him! I'll kill him! I want to kill him! I want to kill him!
But you should be happy you're going to Florida.
As a commando? Man, that is really beautiful tweed, Bowers.
Well, thank you, Beach. I have this little man in Hollywood who comes in and sews by the day. Would you like to feel the material?
You sure you don't mind?
Well, his fingers are all greasy from those peanuts, Bauer.
You go ahead, soldier.
There isn't anything that feels as good as real fine tweed. A present company accepted, Precious.
Astra? Us, buddy.
What are your plans, Simpson? You haven't told anyone.
Well, I don't have any plans. Oh, she and me are going to get married, but I wouldn't exactly say I had any plans.
Marriage. It must be the prettiest word in the English language.
I speak 3 languages, and it's the prettiest word in any of them.
Maybe we're too subtle for these two.
Maybe they are the kind that you have to kick in the teeth before they get it.
Now, girls, look. There's no one who believes more in the sanctity of marriage than Bowers and me.
We voted for it in the last election.
But timing is everything in these things, and we wouldn't dare allow ourselves to think of such a thing until I get back to Hollywood and put Bowers on a paying basis again.
Hold it, hold it. I merely agreed that you were going back with me and visit for a week or so.
Well, you can't blame a man for wanting to mix in and give an old war buddy the benefit of his help and advice.
War buddy? What war was that?
Us? Buddy? You know, the miracle is that you two have any lips left.
What are you? Some kind of religious fanatic or something?
Hey, it's playing time. We better get going. Well, boys, here's to all of us. Those of us who, through a caprice of fate, are returning to civilian life, and also to those of us who are heading into what can only be considered a certain glory.
Well said, Archie.
So that was the end of the war for Archie and me. And then, 9 months later, before the others had even completed their glider training, the war ended for everybody. And then I went back to work at the studio. Well, here it is, the present.
Oh, I beg your pardon, Miss Willoughby.
It's perfectly all right, Mr. Hall.
Did I hurt you?
Yes, you did.
You look a little peaked, Bowers. You ought to spend more time in Palm Springs.
How, when I had to stay here at the studio all weekend and write those changes you insisted on?
Sardine?
For breakfast? Are you kidding? It's tuna.
I've been looking over those changes.
Yeah.
They're not too good, buddy. They don't zing. They're just not you, Bowers.
You don't say.
However, that's no longer my responsibility. Jerry Bressler is taking over as producer on this picture.
You mean you've been fired?
You mean you haven't read the trade papers today?
How? I haven't even seen my wife for 3 days. Hall named as new boss of world. Meteoric rise of Archie Hall astounds in.
This thing's been on the fire for quite some time. It was between me and Jerry Wald. However, it just seems that I've got a little more get up and go than old Jerry.
Well, congratulations, Arch.
Thanks, buddy. Oh, Bowers, incidentally, I wouldn't want people to think, in view of our long past association, that...
I understand. You wouldn't want to be accused of favoritism.
I knew you'd understand. But...
You bet. Well, maybe you should move me to a smaller office, Arch.
Oh, I don't think that's necessary. You stay right here.
Well, thank you.
For the time being, at least. We'll probably be bumping into each other from time to time on the lot. Now, you be sure and say hello.
You bet I will, but you've got to promise me that you'll drop me a line from the White House after the next election.
Funny thing you should mention that.
Your car's out front, Mr. Hall.
Thank you, Stanley. You follow along behind, would you, please?
Good morning, Mr. Hall.
And that was the last time I saw Archie. Of course, that was only this morning. And there is always, I'm sorry to say, tomorrow.